Welcome back to Gold Derby. I'm Christopher Rosen. I'm so pleased to be joined by Natalie Gold, who plays Rava on Succession. Incredible character and huge moment last night on the penultimate episode where Rava kind of plants her flag in the ground and tells Kendall that she is not going to Logan's funeral. That is an incredible moment for Rava and Natalie. I guess like just to start there, what did you think about when you saw that script and that was the direction that this was going to go?
I was so excited, but totally shocked when I read the script. I did know by that point that a funeral episode was coming up. I think I had assumed, which is always wrong to do with this show because the writers are too smart and they get me every time. So I think I had assumed my character would somehow be there and support him because such a obviously big moment. And my character has always supported him in every event that we've seen kind of throughout these 4 seasons. So the fact that she did not go, I thought was beautiful and inspired and surprising and bold and perfect.
It's so great. That scene between you from Rava and Kendall and you and Jeremy is so intense. And like, I guess like just to start there, I'd certainly never seen, I don't think, Kendall is mad at Rava and also Rava being able to stand her ground, like you said. I guess, like, can you talk about, like how you guys kind of approach that? And like, I mean, it just seems like it was very intense to do, so I'd imagine it was. But I mean, like, what was that like, I guess?
Yeah, it was very intense to do, and a painful scene, but it was also like that's the most fun, if in a weird way, the most painful scenes. The writing is so good, and it was such a kind of a wonderful, I thought, breakthrough moment for their relationship, albeit very painful. So approaching it, Mark Mylod was our director. Jesse Armstrong wrote the script, and feels kind of so wonderful on that show, on that set. They know us so well and give us so much freedom. So we didn't talk a lot about it before we started shooting. We just started shooting, and we had our wonderful actors who play our children in the car with us. And we did it so many different ways. I mean, there were takes where, Kendall was trying to get in the car. I was physically restraining him. I think I was hitting him at one point. There was definite fist fights going on. We did have to stop one take, I think, because people were taking pictures. I don't know. We never quite know where the cameras are. Our cameras, which is an incredible, beautiful thing about shooting Succession, because you just feel like you're living it so fully and totally not aware of the cameras and not having to play anything except the real moment. But I think people on the street were taking pictures. I don't know if they knew it was the show or if they just thought 2 people were like really going at each other on the street. So multiple ways, and each time we did it was so beautifully different. But of course, I love the take that they used. I thought it was very smart in telling the story overall.
Did you watch it last night in real time, or did you watch it like beforehand, I guess?
I got it beforehand.
Okay. Yeah, I figured, but I just wanted to see if you watch it like real time with them. You mentioned like obviously you and Jeremy have done so much together on the show, and I think their relationship, like you said, has really been great to watch over the seasons here. How about you and Jeremy together? Are you at this point, like for that scene, is that something where you're just kind of like know what I don't know, do you know what to expect from each other in there because you've done it like together so much, or is it like still being surprised, I guess, by what he's bringing in and you're gonna dish out?
Always surprised, which is there's a level of trust and I never can say this word right, familiarity.
Sure, that's it, you got it. I'm terrible at saying things, so I feel your pain, but yes.
No, there's a deep level of trust, but the most fun thing about working on the show, working with Jeremy, and being directed by these incredible directors and having words to say by these amazing writers, is it's always a surprise, and there's not a lot of talk beforehand. They really leave so much time and space and room for us to play, and as an actor, the thing that I strive most for is surprise. I know my lines, but I don't know when they're, sorry, I don't go into a scene planning everything that's going to happen, because the joy for me of being an actor is being able to put all my focus on my scene partner and hopefully being open and present enough to respond in time to whatever they're giving me. And Jeremy's always giving me something new to play with. I can only hope I'm doing the same for him. But through that, it's just brings a level of trust, depth, and history within our characters. That's always just so fun to play, as painful as these scenes are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you mentioned like how Rava has like historically supported Kendall, or at least I always feel like watching the scenes, like she always comes into it in the way you play her with like kind of giving him the benefit of the doubt, right, at first, or like trying. And even last night, or in this penultimate episode, is there's a moment when he's like, oh, I'm gonna like, I don't know, he's like threatening the custody thing, and he's gonna like kind of like try to do all these things, and you're like, Rava says something like, you go and you do that, but the way she says it, I think it's easy to imagine it being said like, you do that, like go fuck off, basically, right? But like the way she says it has so much, like, I don't even know if it's like empathy or understanding. I just love that line reading. I thought you were so incredible in that sequence, and it's like heartbreaking the way you play it, and like, I don't know, you almost treating him like, I mean, basically like a child. But I just found that like really incredible. And I guess, is that like, yeah, like, was that something that you kind of, like you said, I mean, like, it's, the writing is brilliant in directing, but like your playing of that sequence, I think you could have done in a lot of different ways, and that choice is so great. And I guess I just love to hear you talk about it a little. I just thought that was really good.
Yeah, that I when I watched it, I was like, oh, I don't remember that part. Yeah, I think that version of the scene and that take that we did, it was such a sense of just total and utter exasperation and sadness at the whole situation. I think there's kind of been a breakdown of this relationship. Not that it started when we started the pilot, that the relationship started in the best place, but I think personally, Rava has always really tried and given him the benefit of the doubt. I just think she just doesn't believe him anymore. I just think she doesn't believe him, and that in that moment, such a threat, and I felt such an empty threat and such a sad thing to say.
Yeah.
So that's
it,
kind of,
yeah, it's really great. And it was like, I don't know, the whole, all of your scenes with Rava and Kendall scenes this season were I thought really incredible. The first one being, I think it's I think in episode 6, I guess, right? Like, and here outside the coffee shop together, and you have this incredible line that I know people love, where you're like, I've been raising our daughter while you've been running a racist news organization, which is just so great, and I think was very cathartic for the audience. And I guess, like, going back to that scene, I guess, yeah, like, what were you hoping to get across, I guess, for Rapa there? And I think you succeeded. But like, yeah, like that was a really good one, I feel like. And again, another one where she again comes in with like a little bit of benefit of the doubt, and basically he immediately annihilates that because of his behavior.
absolutely, yeah. That scene is so, God, incredibly written. I was so excited to get to do it, and I love that her veneer was cracking. Finally, we get to see her angry and pissed and lose her shit, because I think she's very good and very practiced. Not that, I think Rava can be a bit passive aggressive at times and make little jabs, but for the most part, she holds it together. And I think she entered that conversation wanting to have a conversation with Kendall about what happened to their daughter, and wanted him to be an active participant in how they were going to help their daughter. And he turned it around on her and basically called her an absentee mother, which is mortifying and infuriating and just ridiculous. So I love that she got to lose her shit on him and call him out for what he's doing and how absent he's been. Yeah. And also, his news organization is a direct correlation to what's happening to their daughter. I'm sure Rava's complicit in that too, and it's very complicated, but she wants to hash that out, not be called a bad mother.
Yeah, and I think she really, I mean, like, I do think it's really good. And the thing that I love about the show, just in general, the writing is so good, and I think all of your performances are incredible. But it's like, you watch Kendall and you're like, at least as a viewer, I'm like, oh man, like it's kind of sinking in. Like all these people are telling him like something that is wrong, and like even like through this like the last few episodes, with particularly with the election, whether it's Rava or Jess, obviously who kind of he also loses in this last episode, are kind of like all screaming at him basically to like do the right thing, and he still won't really do it, and then like will blame everybody else for his behavior. It just is like just an incredibly frustrating character who is like, again, like still like you get where Rob is coming from, because I think the way Jeremy plays him, perhaps there is like that little bit of you feel for Kendall, I think a lot. And like even though you shouldn't, it's just a remarkable bit of writing and performance that I just love about this show. I think it's like so good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you when I mentioned Jess there, like Rava and Jess, Kendall losing them back to back, not to just totally make this all about Rava and Kendall, but I guess like it just like, yeah, how did you think about that? And like, how did you think of their relationship, I guess, like Rava and Jess? Because clearly, like, Jess is a character who's been in Kendall's life for so long, and obviously so is Rava. So I'm sure, even though you guys didn't have a lot of scenes together, certainly not in the final season, but even previously, I'm sure like they had interacted a little bit in real life, if this was real life. So I guess, how did you think about their relationship together?
Yeah, it's funny. I actually I texted Juliana Canfield this morning, who plays Jess, who is an extraordinary actress. And I said, you know, Kendall's women have left him. He's all alone. And I think Rava and Jess, personally, this is not vetted by Jesse or any of the writers, but I think Rava and Jess talk more than Rava and Kendall do. I think Jess is an incredibly loyal assistant to Kendall. I don't think Jess, you know, will give up any dirt to Rava, nor that Rava would cross that boundary. But my working theory is that I texted Juliana this morning and said, I think Jess should come work with Rava, not for Rava, with Rava, because Rava is a consultant at a McKinsey type place. And I think Rava will give Jess an executive level job. She's earned it, and she's ready to be her own boss now. That's my fan fiction on the Rava.
Love that fan fiction. Would be way in on that. I think that would be so good. Do you as an actor, like you said, like Robin's a character who obviously we don't know certainly as much about like backstory wise as like a Kendall, obviously, but like is that something that you like to do as an actor, is like kind of think about, yeah, like the history of the character? Like how do you build out like what it is, and how do you kind of, or do you kind of combine your own thoughts with like what maybe Jesse or the writers are telling you that maybe happened in the past, particularly like with their marriage or whatever? Or like how do you kind of think about it when you're building her out?
Such a good question. It's different for every piece that I work on. I kind of approach it a little differently. For Rava, so much is, I mean, everything is in the writing. Reading the pilot script, I just connected to it and said, yep, I know exactly who she is. And I think it also has to do with the fact that I'm a mother, and not that you have to be a mother. I just related to it. I related to her. And then there's the imagination piece, because there's a lot that I don't relate to. I don't relate to the billionaire lifestyle. I don't know what it's like to have to be divorced or have a very public, messy divorce. So a lot of that is, some of that is kind of my own research, and then just a lot left to the imagination. And then, of course, asking Jesse a bunch of questions, which he answered, but he's beautifully open, where he really wants his actors to kind of make certain decisions for themselves. And so I've gone about doing that as well.
That's really cool. Were you, I guess, not disappointed maybe is the wrong word, but like you said, like surprised that Rava leaves and doesn't get to go to Logan's funeral, which was like a who's who of the cast. So I guess on a personal level, maybe you were like, were you a little disappointed that you didn't get to like see all, like it was like a, hey, come everybody come on back, like a big reunion basically. But I was like, so that made me a little disappointed. But I mean, I guess like, yeah, like did like, yeah, how did like not going to Logan's funeral, I guess, like for Rava, like we said, it was a big moment for her. But I guess for you as an actor, were you like, would have been cool to go and check it out?
I mean, my God, the work that they were all doing was tremendous. And yes, any chance that I can to hang out with any of those people, I would, of course, love to be there. And I think that that episode was so exquisitely acted, written, directed, everything about it. So yeah, I would have liked to go and be a fly on the wall. But as far as hanging out with everybody, I got to see him. We had some rap parties. We got to hang out, had some dinners. So that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Do you like what do you imagine like Rava's relationship with Logan was like, I guess? Do you think about that?
think he might have been the father-in-law from hell. I think it was a little bit contentious. I don't think Logan had a ton of respect for their kids. That's again not Succession canon. That's kind of my own opinion as Rava. I think she could give it back to him a little bit, and I think a lot of the issues that stem between her relationship with Kendall had to do with the overbearing presence of Logan Roy in their life. So I always equated it a little bit to kind of marrying into a mafia family in a way that's really hard to extricate oneself from.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned like I don't think you're far. I mean, like he definitely did not treat like Iverson very well. Obviously, we saw that, and I don't even think I'm trying to think if he ever even spoke to Sophie in the show. I honestly don't remember if he did. So I'm just like, doesn't seem like he was very warm to as a warm grandfather, let's say. So not
The coziest and fuzziest. No, I think
no.
Brian Cox would be the most warm grandfather in the world.
Yes.
Logan Roy, however, I
No.
don't not a love between
No. So like that was, I guess that was your, like, I think you said like that was your last episode, like this penultimate episode. I mean, like what, like, sounds like just from talking about it, obviously you have such an affection for the show, but like just anything, like what are you going to miss about like this world and this show and like it, like now having it ending is like, a traumatic experience for the viewer. I'd imagine for someone who's actually done it and got to do it, it'd be even worse. But I guess like what is it going to be like for you to leave it behind?
Yeah, I think it really, how do you, it's very sad, but at the same time, like so grateful as an actor that I got to have this experience, that I got to work with these incredible people for 6 years and got to play this beautiful part. So I don't know, it's equal parts. I'm going to miss it terribly, but so grateful I got to do it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it does. I mean, like I said, I think your importance is incredible because I think, like, obviously, like Jeremy has rightfully gotten so many great notices for this work, and I think the thing I love about Rava as a character and you as a performer is you're throwing stuff at him that not everybody else in the show gets to, and I think that is like really impressive and like kind of he's often on his heels maybe with her, and like he can't like talk his way around that relationship in that world, right? Like as much as he tries, and I think that is a great credit to your performance because Rava is like really able to stand up for herself, and we saw that here in the final episode for her. Just really, it's a great. I thought it was like a great send off for the character. I guess.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah,
So much.
and a great performance. Natalie Gold, star of Succession. Thank you so much for doing this. Appreciate it.
It was so nice to talk to you.